Right, so we've got a bit of fractional algebra practice to do here. So you can see this is a question 1 worth only 3 marks. Should be very straightforward bookwork. So we're expressing two fractions, x over x squared minus 1 plus 2 over x plus 1, as a single fraction. Now the first thing really you need to spot here to make your life easy is to recognize that that is a difference of two squares. So we can write it as x minus 1, x plus 1. And then the second fraction, you will see, contains one of the factors of the other fraction. That means that when we come to combine that, what we're looking for is a denominator that contains all the factors. So we can just contain x minus 1 and x plus 1 into that. If you hadn't recognized that was a difference of two squares, you could still go about getting the correct answer. However, you'll end up with a more complicated factorization to do on the numerator further on down. So to work out what the overall numerator is here, we're going to divide that into that, and it'll go exactly once with no remainder. So the numerator part will be x times 1, and I'll just put the 1 in. You don't need to, but just for completeness sake. And then for the second part, if I divide that into that, it leaves me the x minus 1 factor, so I have to multiply the 2 by the x minus 1. Then we can simplify the numerator. Clear out the bracket, we get 2x minus 2. Now, a common mistake when I was marking your work was that some of you were expanding out this the factors on the denominator, and again, you wouldn't normally do that. I can't think of many instances in maths where it would be of a benefit to you to expand the brackets. Once they're in factorized form, that's usually the best place to leave them. So back to the numerator here, we can tidy that up to get 3x minus 2 over x minus 1 over x plus 1. And that's the final answer. We cannot simplify that further. We could write to the denominator as x squared minus 1, but there's nothing to gain from doing it. So to get your 3 marks, that's what you needed to do. The way the marks were allocated there was 1 mark for writing the x squared minus 1 as a difference of two squares. So there was 1 mark for that. Then there was a method mark for correctly combining the equivalent fractions, and a final answer mark for the simplified single fraction. So that would give you 3 marks. If you had decided to, or if you hadn't spotted that that was a difference of two squares, you would have gone straight from that line to a combined line where you would have had on the denominator x squared minus 1 x plus 1. When you divide that into that, it leaves you x plus 1. When you divide x plus 1 into that, it leaves you x squared minus 1. Again, don't expand the factors on the denominator. On the numerator now, you have an x squared plus x plus 2x squared minus 2. Three x squared plus x minus 2. So that would have then left you a quadratic to factorize in order that one of the factors is x plus 1, which will cancel with that. So you created much more work for yourself by not recognizing that pretty early on difference of two squares. So I won't continue with that because I'm just demonstrating there that you're making more work for yourself doing that. But if that's the way you've gone, you factorize that. One of the factors is x plus 1. The other one is 3x minus 2. So you'll end up with and there the x plus 1's cancel, leaving you the same as we ended up there, but with a lot more work to do, more algebra to deal with, and more potential for going wrong, which several of you did. So that was the simplifying. There's no answer for that one because it's not an equation. The second one I set you was an equation. So what I suggested you do with these is what you do is you multiply the whole thing by the product of the denominators. So we're going to multiply the whole thing by x plus 1, x minus 1. So the first term will be multiplied by that. The second term will be multiplied by that. And the number on the right hand side will also be multiplied by that. And what the effect of that is it cancels those fractional parts. So I am left with 2x bracket x minus 1 minus x plus 1 equals x plus 1 x minus 1. And again, depending on your confidence with your algebra, there are various shortcuts you can take here. You could have expanded that as we saw it, but I've written in the next line. Now we'll clear out the bracket, so I've got 2x squared minus 2x from the first bracket. The second one, you have to be careful with this outside minus, because that's going to change both of the signs within the bracket. A couple of you slipped up there. On this side, I've spotted there from the previous question, that's a difference of two squares that I can write as x squared minus 1. I can see I'm about to form a quadratic, so I need all the terms on one side equals 0 on the other. So 2x squared minus 3x minus 1 minus that x squared plus that 1 equals 0. So I've got a 2x squared minus x squared is x squared minus 3x. The minus 1 plus 1 cancel out, so I'm left with that. Hopefully I can see I have a common factor of x, leaving me x minus 3 equals 0. So now I write either x equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0, which means x equals 3. So my two solutions are that. The common mistake to make there is to maybe divide throughout by x rather than taking it out as a common factor, and what happens then is you lose one of these solutions. So 4 marks for that question, and the way the marks are allocated, you get 1 mark for getting it to there where you've got rid of all the fractional parts. That's your method. And you get an accuracy mark if you then correctly expand out all the brackets, so whichever form you've got that in. Then there's a method mark for recognizing you need to get a common factor, and then the final answer mark is for getting both of those solutions for the quadratic. So that one is marked out of 4. So the two questions overall worth 7 marks. 7 marks that you would be disappointed not to get full marks on.